guys. Thank you for joining me for this short video. I want to talk to you on a personal level today. I want to talk about some things that I know that I haven't been doing or practicing very well. And hopefully what I share will be of some help to you during this time. You know, there's a big difference between knowing the path and walking the path. I think we all know that. And there are a number of things that we know we probably should be doing, or maybe things that we used to do better than we're doing now. And I've certainly discovered that about myself in recent days. I want to talk to you about some things that I think will be helpful in getting through this time and this crisis and this place that most of us around the world find ourselves in. You know, I think one of the core principles of spirituality that most of us are waking up to is the fact that everything in the universe is energy, and that what we perceive as time is simply the shifts or changes in that energy, and then the way we record it in our memory and in our perception of the present and of the future. But we all know that the future moment is all that we have. It's all that we have. The past doesn't exist. The future hasn't happened yet. And we find ourselves in this sort of ever-present eternal moment. And the more that we can be aware of the present moment, the more we can function effectively in life, the more we can experience what is, and the more we can actually enjoy what we are doing. But, you know, sometimes we find ourselves resisting the present moment. So I want to talk to you a little bit about resistance, what resistance does, and what might happen if we learn to be a little bit more accepting and let go of resistance. One of the primary reasons that we don't want to stay in the present moment with our conscious awareness is because we're resisting what's being presented to us in life in the present moment. I think we can certainly find that we are all experiencing some of that in these times that we find ourselves. I mean, who knew that 2020 was going to be like this? Who saw this coming? I don't think very many people. And when life presents us with an unpleasant set of circumstances and something we don't like, we often find ourselves emotionally, psychologically, and even spiritually resisting what is instead of accepting what is. If we thought our yesterday was better than our present moment, if we miss a former present moment and we don't like the present moment that we're in, we can find ourselves producing all kinds of internal resistance to what is and wishing we could go back to how things were, go back to a more pleasant yesterday, or we can find ourselves projecting into some future moment. Now, if you're a positive thinker or working the law of attraction, then you might be using your imagination to project yourself into a more positive future moment. But if you're like a lot of us, myself included, you find yourself oftentimes worrying. And when we worry, we not only resist the present moment, but we project a future based on the present moment that is unpleasant for us. And then that can create even more resistance. It can be like, oh no, I don't like this present moment. I don't like where it's going. If this present moment doesn't change, then this is going to happen. And if this happens, then this is going to happen. And then if that happens, another thing is going to happen. And we can start worrying that our future moments will be even worse than the current present moments that we find ourselves in. And the end result of all of that is that we find ourselves in resistance. We can even find ourselves in resistance to one another. And now is a time when there are so many ideas and opinions and things being floated around out there, myself as well. I'm just as guilty of that as anybody. And we can find ourselves then in arguments with one another. We can find ourselves resisting other people, resisting their experience, resisting their point of view, and trying to exert our will, our ideas, and our opinions over them. And pretty soon, we've gone pretty far down the rabbit hole. Well, upon recent reflection, I found out that I've gone down the rabbit hole a little bit farther than what I want to do. And so I want to be able to recover myself and recover the best parts of me and bring myself into a place of present moment awareness that requires that I let go of all my resistance and accept what currently is. And accepting what currently is also means accepting other people and what they present to me as their experience in the present moment as well. See, when we don't live in the present moment, when we're not living in the eternal now, usually it's because we're presenting some kind of resistance. And the more resistance that we present, oftentimes, the more life is going to bring us things that match that frequency. So if I'm resisting what is, then chances are pretty good that I'm going to be creating more opposition or attracting more opposition and more resistance into my life. It's sort of life's way of reflecting to me what's going on the inside. Resistance can present itself in any number of ways. It can present itself in the desire to control an outcome, in the desire to control a situation. It can present itself as force, trying to feeling the pressure of life and then pushing back against the pressure of life with that resistance, trying to fight and trying to push our way through. And so in looking at this in my own self, I came to realize that I have mounted an incredible amount of that resistance. And the way out of that resistance is simply twofold. One thing, we have to accept the present moment for what it is. We may not like what life is presenting us in the present moment. We may not like the challenges. We may not like the lessons that we're being invited to learn. But resisting those things is only going to hinder the process. So if we can take a step back from that and look at our present moment and accept it, that it is what it is, and not pass judgment or place judgment on it. In other words, this present moment is exactly what it is, and it's exactly what I signed up for before I came to Earth, and it's exactly what I need to process through in order to grow and develop and expand and learn the lessons that I came here to learn. So if I can loosen my grip on resistance and I can move more into acceptance, then I can also begin to open myself up to the ground of my being, which is eternal awareness. The only thing about us that is sure and steady and real and consistent is abiding awareness. At our core, the part of us that is eternal consciousness or eternal awareness. Things about our personality will change. Things about our ideas and opinions will change. As we get more information and we reflect back on the past, or what we call the past, we may discover that we failed to have insight, or maybe we had more insight than we thought we would. But either way, we will find ourselves oftentimes changing or shifting our point of view from where we stand in that moment as we reflect and look back. There are all kinds of things that can cause us to experience resistance, and I want to talk about two specifically. The first one is attachment. When we become attached to things in our life, things in the external world, we can become attached to a job, we can become attached to people or relationships, we can even become attached to our ideas or our opinions or our beliefs. And we hold on to those things at the expense of just existing in this place of eternal consciousness and eternal awareness. We can also find ourselves identifying with certain aspects of our personality, certain aspects of our belief system, our opinions, our philosophies, our ideas, and we can end up defending those things as though they themselves are reality, and that can create all kinds of conflict for us in relationships and with people, and we're not connecting at the level that we really want to be able to connect. And so I want to just share this video and invite you to look at yourself and perhaps examine where you might be experiencing some resistance to what is, where you might be experiencing some resistance to other people, where you might have identified too much with a belief system, a thought form, an identity that you carry. And I'll invite you to loosen your grip upon that and take a step back and just be aware in this place of honoring and accepting the present moment, and allow yourself to expand your consciousness of who you are, expand your awareness of who you are, and live from that deep place that we call the ground of being. I have found just today, by letting go of some resistance and allowing myself to accept things as they are, not as how I think they should be or how I want them to be, but accepting them as they are, realizing that I am not the best future prognosticator. Oftentimes things that I hope for don't happen, and most of the times things that I worry about don't happen as well. And so we can spend a lot of our energy and a lot of our time and waste a lot of our consciousness being locked into illusions of things that are passing away. In the Bible, in 1 John, it says that heaven and earth is passing away, everything in the world is passing away, but he who does the will of God abides forever. You and I are planted in the eternal. We are planted in the one source. We are planted in the ground of being, and that is the only place that we can find real safety and real security. When we attach to things in this world, be they people, be they positions, be they lifestyles, personality traits, ideas, material things, all those things are shifting and changing and passing away. And so I want to invite you to examine where you're in resistance, where you're pushing back. Invite you to let go of it for just a little bit, take a step back and expand your awareness, and just be aware of the fact that I am, that you are an abiding, eternal manifestation of the presence of God, who is experiencing this three-dimensional world that we create through our mind, the concept of time. And to allow yourself to maybe let go of your mind for just a little bit, to not be so opinionated, to not be so locked into world events, to not be so locked into change, to resist the temptation to prognosticate what's going to happen or to pass judgment upon what is, to loosen your grip upon all of that and to let go of that, so that the veil of those things or the illusion of those things can begin to melt away from your life, and you can begin to move from a place of deep being, deep awareness, and real spiritual consciousness. I hope that this video has been an encouragement to you. If you've liked it, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and hit the like button, and maybe even hit the button that will alert you, the alert button, the little bell down there that will alert you when I'm posting more. In the meantime, I'm hoping to be able to do more of these videos that will offer some helpful contributions to your life to help you manage the crisis that you're in and expand your awareness to help you manifest the reality of who you really are in this earth. Thank you for taking time to watch this.